I'm going to be in St. Louis this weekend. Tickets are going fast. Buy a damn ticket, St. Louis. There is nothing to do in your city. Stop acting like I'm trying to sell you something that is so much less important than whatever fucking tire fire you're gonna stare at, okay? noelmillerlive.com. Go buy a ticket right now. I will see you this weekend. It's gonna be a good time. Today's video is about the ladies, because today you're gonna prove to us being short kings, if you were lying the whole time. Were you really in support of us, or was it just a fad? Did you just say that to make you feel better about yourself? And as the majority of viewers on this channel, we're gonna put you to the test right now. We're gonna see if 60% of the audience is really about it. What am I talking about? Well, today I want to get into the most controversial philosophical debate going around Twitter. And no, it is not, would you have a gay son or a thought daughter? That is a relic that is on its way to the Smithsonian as we speak. That will have its own exhibit permanently for generations of people to visit, observe, and discuss amongst themselves. They say, you know, young boys asking their dad, would you have rather had a thought daughter or gay me? Today's philosophical debate is a heavy question. It was put out by a dude on Twitter who goes by Marlon_Humphrey. And that question is, are professional drivers athletes? Now, ladies, what does this have to do with you? Well, most race car drivers would fall into the short king category. So now I've got you. You don't care about cars, but do you care about short men like you've been saying for the last 2-3 years? Now, some of you are gonna say no, and you're gonna close the video. But others of you are gonna feel guilt right now. You're gonna feel on the edge. You're probably sitting next to a short dude right now. You probably put on this video and you're like, oh, I like these videos. And now we're here and you don't know what to do, because this might be a car video and you just might not f with that. But I digress. It's not really about cars. Really what I want to talk about is this question. It is kind of interesting. Is a professional driver an athlete? Now, I dug through the thread on that tweet, and it's honestly made me realize how stupid Americans are, that they care so much. And on one side, you have guys saying, hey man, you try sitting in a NASCAR driving 200 miles an hour for 7 hours and making turns at 120 and see if you last. Tell me if that ain't athleticism. And you got dudes on the other side who are hopelessly addicted to sports betting, who are like, no dude, it's not a sport, okay? You gotta be physically able to move your body in ways that other people can't. That's what makes you an athlete. Now, I'm not gonna lie, as a short person who enjoys motorsport, I started getting fucking pissed. You know, I'm looking at people desecrating, taking a shit on the only arena where I have any shot at being athletic. And I'm saying, hey man, why don't you fucking rob me of this? Why don't you make me feel like my life is a lie? Matter of fact, I think this is just tall people mad that they can't participate. You're never gonna see a 6'3" race car driver. Why? Because you're too big, you're too stupid. It's not a sport for you. You need a dumb tall person sport. Or you gotta move a ball around and put it in a basket. You know? Oh wow, shooting a ball into a basket. You know where they do that? In corporate offices, bro. Crumpling up work and throwing that shit into the trash can. Okay? That's the sport you like. Running some pigskin up and down the field? Who fucking cares? You know who puts out deliveries as well? Fucking UPS. You like delivering raw material? Running across some grass with a special item, that's not a sport, bro. That's called working for UPS, okay? Amazon has tons of football players by that definition. I do have to say, the motorsport fans in this thread were not doing us any favors. They kept repeatedly bringing up stupid things like, hey man, you gotta have a strong neck, which is fucking sus. Why would you lead with that, bro? Hey man, this sport is different. You gotta have good neck. Dummy, man. And look, I did have a serious think about it for a few minutes. You know, I looked into both sides, and to be fair, it is an interesting point. You know, do you have to be exceptionally athletic to be a race car driver? Probably not, you know, but in some ways, I kind of look at it like you do need to be a certain type of person to be a race car driver. You know, you got to be ugly, you got to be ostracized, you have to be pushed to such a point that you want to become a race car driver. I'm joking, man. You know, there's plenty of examples out there of race car drivers who are very good looking. For example, Chet Hanks. He does it all. To be a race car driver, do you have to be exceptionally athletic? Probably not, but you do have to be very rich. You have to be loved by both of your parents. You know, that was like a big theme and that was a common joke in this thread, like, oh, if I was ever driven to the point of boredom that I would want to drive a race car in circles, trust me, I wouldn't need any training to do it. Yeah, you would. You'd have to have a good relationship with both your parents. They'd have to love you and want to take you to the track every weekend and be there for you and support you, and you don't know what that's like. So first and foremost, you don't even have that baseline to become a race car driver. I do wonder, though, if you took race car drivers and you put them up against athletes, and do they have fast twitch muscle fibers that other people don't have? Do they have certain muscle fibers that enables them to react quicker to things than other people? Granted, I'm kind of thinking specifically about Formula One drivers. And this brings up a good point about Formula One, which is we don't know, what the baseline is, because a lot more people in Formula One than not, they come from money. We don't really know how many people could be good at driving race cars. I can say this: you can't be a big dumbass 6-foot race car driver in a Formula One car, that's for sure. Can't be a big oaf. Okay, you got to be a lean, petite, slim build to get in that car and and whip it around a track. That much I could say. I don't know if the mental game of driving a race car can be connected to athleticism. Probably not, right? But being able to think and react and do things under extreme amounts of pressure. The common example people brought up was like a fighter pilot. What does that fall under? Is that just a mind game? Could you be genetically gifted in that way where your brain works better than other people? Therefore making the sport kind of exclusive because not everyone can get in that car and react fast enough. The only anecdotal thing that came to my mind is my driving coach. He worked up the ladder in NASCAR, and there became a point where the racing became too fast and he just wasn't quick enough. And that is something that no one brought up in the thread, which is there are people that come from money and there are people that get put into the sport and they are not good enough to stay. Again, I'm talking about Formula One. They are many, many seconds off the pace. There were rules put in place for people who are just too slow, who just don't get it. Now, what does that come down to? Could they be potentially physically fit and conditioned for it, but their mind just doesn't have what's required to drive the car? How do you quantify that? How do you label that? I would argue most people kind of underestimate what it does to what it takes to drive a car at high speed. A lot of people say, oh, I can make left turns and I can do this and that. I don't think many people could get into a Formula One car, even with conditioning, and really pick it up. There's a reason I think that some of those guys get paid so well is because they have the capacity to be very precise many, many times over in a given period. So how do you quantify that? I don't know, but I don't like seeing tall people talk shit about short people activities. That much I can say. The last thing I'll say, which I thought was really interesting, was the amount of Americans and people who said motorsport is not a sport, and they compared it to billiards and like throwing darts and other shit. And that is wild to me, that these people think like peak engineered performance vehicles are the same as billiards. And not that I'm not calling them wrong. I just think it's crazy that they put those two things in the same category. And I think that speaks to why Formula One is just starting to get popular after Drive to Survive. If you haven't seen that, it's a pretty interesting documentary. I recommend the first season. I think that was people's first window into driving a race car. It is not that easy. It definitely takes some degree of conditioning. There are other factors at play, and it takes a team of people to kind of do it right. And I think that's kind of what got people into the sport now, because now they can appreciate it because they think, oh, there's just more to it than turning left and right. It made me wonder how popular Formula One can really get in America if a lot of Americans just don't really view driving a car as a sport. And even if you put up things like, well, it is physically intense, there are difficult aspects to it, how you manage tires, how you manage different elements of wind and aerodynamics and all that stuff. Even when you put that stuff out on the table, it kind of seems like Americans just want to double and triple down and move the goalpost, and they just really, at the core of it, don't think driving a race car is a real sport. And that was very interesting to me, because for all the energy that's being put into making Formula One popular, is it on deaf ears? Is it just going in front of people that are like, I don't give a fuck, man, that you're trying to market bowling to me, and I don't care. That's quite literally what some people said in this thread. They equated Formula One to bowling. And what the disconnect is, I'm not sure. So I'll say this, if you're a tall person that thinks racing cars isn't a sport, I would challenge you to go race a go-kart, go race a Mario Kart, and see if you last. You'll probably be in last because those engines are not designed to drag around big, stupid oaf motherfuckers like you. They're designed for, you know, lean, small, well-built, you know, proportional humans, not for dipshits like you who can scratch their eyebrows with their knees sitting down, okay? But I would encourage you to go check it out. There's actually a tweet from Bomani Jones, like in 2013, where he says, after doing adult karting, it's changed my whole view on our race car drivers, athletes. And I think that the same thing happened to me. You know, that's kind of what put me into motorsport, is after I raced karts a few times, I thought, damn, this shit is fucking difficult, because, you know, you don't have all the assists that a regular car has. And there is conditioning. There is a degree of athleticism that you're exercising in the act, you know. So does that make you an athlete? Maybe not, but you do have to train for it. So, you know, what's the rule? I thought it's an interesting back and forth. You know, it's kind of a good chicken or the egg conversation. For nerds and virgins. Anyways, yeah, those are my thoughts. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you very soon with another video. Goodbye.
This my next big thing, she precious. I'm bad and the walls asbestos. Yeah, bitch, you guessed it. T-U-O-T on my necklace. Spock done made like 10 beats. Now I know the boy getting restless. Jab my way through the session. Doing too much, coming clutch, that's my essence.